Hey guys, PERK30 here, and today I'm going to be talking about the KSI versus Joe Fournier, I guess that's how you say his name, fight. If you don't know, KSI fought a billionaire by the name of Joe Fournier. To be honest, I don't really know why they fought, but I think one of the main reasons is because he's declared a pro boxer. I don't know what's considered pro and not pro and amateur and all that. He was 9-0. I think one of them was no contest. But to go on, I'm going to be talking about basically the whole fight card. Then I'm going to be talking about the main event, like KSI versus Joe. And then I'm going to be talking about what happened after and what's going to be happening next. For like what the fights are going to be next. Sure, like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. And to start off, we're going to be talking about the Korn and Unbar fight. I don't really know who Unbar is, but I know that Korn is a really popular guy on Twitter. He's been banned multiple times. His tweets are hit and miss, and sometimes supposedly they were stolen. He lost that fight, and to be honest, this fight was really bad. He had weeks to train for it. He did not look like he trained for it at all. And then Unbar had it like a 5-day notice. He took on the fight, so that's kind of why he doesn't look too well. But in the end, he still ended up winning. Supposedly, Korn, they won by decision, by the way, but supposedly Korn is trying to get a like an appeal on that decision, trying to get someone else to look over it so he could possibly have the win. That is, if that's true, that's completely scummy and really corny. No pun intended. Korn was already not being liked as soon as it went on to like the press conference because he said some really cringy stuff there. And then also he has what looks like to be satanic tattoo, and then they did a satanic symbol with his hand during one of like the face-offs, like the part play, like they do like the face-off, then they look at the crowd, that stuff. He was looking at the crowd and doing that. Very cringy, very weird, very scummy behavior. I never want to see Korn fight again. If Unbar wants to fight again, whatever. I mean, if he won his first fight in 5 days' notice, and I think only training for 5 days, I don't know if he really has or not. I don't know if that was even his first fight, but if they can find another guy in his weight class or whatever, then sure, why not? Korn, again, should never fight again. There's a guy by the name of, Louise Nestor, and it was versus Arnold or something like that. I know nothing about these two people. I don't even know how that fight went. But I will be talking about the next one a bit, Zuckles versus the mystery opponent. I don't know who the mystery opponent was. Belal or something like that was a part of his name, or like BEL was a part of his name. I don't know anything about him. Zuckles was a part of Fitz's crew where they would do like a funny moments and stuff. He's just not really been doing much besides like streaming and sometimes a video. I don't know if he's consistently uploading anymore. I stopped looking at the Fitz gang for like a while now. Zuckles really made me mad whenever I saw the clips of the fight, because I wasn't really rooting for him or anything. I didn't care about this fight at all. But he tries to do a spinning back fist, but instead of doing the actual back fist, he stiffens out his arm and then does the back fist. Whenever he's doing the back fist, he stiffs out his arm all the way out, and he hits the guy in the back of the head with his elbow. This immediately got him a point deduction, and it was well deserved. I don't think Zuckles should ever fight again if he's going to do something like that. Now, I know that it's his first fight or whatever, but still, that should not be tolerated at all, and that's a very big danger to other people. If you're going to try to do that again, no. Not at all. Don't ever step in the ring again. That made me so mad when I saw that. Again, should never fight again. I don't know about the other guy. I know that the other guy won and it was by decision. That's about it. Now I'm going to be talking about what should have been the main event, the Wings versus Boogie fight. Now, personally, I really was mainly watching this whole thing for this fight. A lot of people thought that this should have been a part of the main event, but it was the last one of the prelims before you went to the main card. And to be honest, that's kind of sucky. This fight was the only reason a lot of people even decided to watch this, because you might hate Keemstar, you might like him. Like, he has made some interesting fights, and this is the only reason this fight happened was because of Keemstar. I think he also set up some other ones. He has his own promotion, and, he's a very big name. He's a very popular person. And to be honest, he really has saved this whole fighting card, because imagine this card without Wings versus Boogie. Wings versus Boogie literally made mainstream news, and I think it was even the heaviest fight ever officially sanctioned, because I think it was 800 pounds, if not heavier, in the ring, as I think Wings weighed a little bit more than 400, and then Boogie weighed 340, 392, sorry. I don't really know for sure or not. But anyway, to kind of explain how that fight went down, because I watched a little bit of it, I think it went on for the first round. These were, I think, 1.5 minute rounds, like 3 1.5 minute rounds. And the first round, I don't think anything really happened. And then the second round, I think Wings just like came in swinging, kind of bombarding him with shots and stuff, and he couldn't really do much back. I think if you're a bigger guy like that, you really can't do much if someone's bombarding you, and maybe Wings used that to his advantage. But to be honest, this fight could have went either way, in my opinion. But during the fight, Boogie's shorts about fell off. They had to use tape as a belt, basically, to keep them up. And then after that, he got TKO'd. It was a TKO. Basically, the ref called it off. Boogie, I guess, was just too tired or out of breath. Boogie responds kind of actually really positive about it. The only thing he really had to say is that he wished that it could have went on longer. He wished that he didn't get took out of it so quickly. He wished the fight could have went on. If he could have won, I don't know. I'm pretty sure if Boogie did what Wings did there and just bombarded with like throws, or just waited for the other guy to tire himself out, then started beating on him, that could have worked as well. I was kind of going for Boogie in this situation. Wings is only really known. He's like a big YouTuber, but I only know him for like him like raging and banning a bunch of people from his live streams. And then, Boogie did his skits and stuff, so that's basically how they're known if you don't know. The next fight was a fight on the main card. It was 2 women. To be honest, I don't know about either of these women. Probably adult content creators, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know how else to word that. Adult stars. That's what I assume. I don't really know. And to be honest, I don't really remember this fight at all. I guess that tells you enough about it. The next woman's fight I remember a little bit. It was Tennessee Trish versus Paige. And to be honest, the one thing I'll give about these women is that they fought to the very end. They were consistently throwing strikes. They were probably tired by the third round, but they were still swinging like they were wanting to fight. They were going at it. And I really do appreciate that. I think that is something that a lot of people can really love and enjoy, is that, even if it's not that entertaining of a fight, even if you're not there for it, even if it's a little boring, you can still appreciate that, hey, they were swinging. The next fight was Virus versus DK Money. DK Money has fought in a few other events before. I think he was undefeated before this, and that kind of exposed just what happened. DK Money fought in a few events before. I don't really remember his performance as well, and I don't really know what he does outside of the YouTuber boxing. But he has won most of his fights, and he was alright from what I remember. But whenever I saw Virus walk out, I just saw his physique and stuff, and I was like, well, he's probably going to be a bit faster, maybe not as powerful, but I think that Virus is going to get the win here, and I was right, as Virus gets a knockout on DK Money. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really know if Virus has fought before or not. This might have been his first fight. But yeah, that's basically about it. Salt Poppy versus Anthony Taylor. This fight was kind of alright. People were probably really rooting for Salt Poppy here. To be honest, I was rooting for Anthony Taylor. Salt Poppy's a TikToker who got really popular. He's a really good boxer. Like, he's done pretty well in his fights. He used to be a big boy, and he's lost a bunch of weight. So, I mean, congrats to him. And I think he's planning on going even lower in weight. I'm not sure if he's at his goal weight or not anymore. But he went against Anthony Taylor. Anthony Taylor kind of just, like, did more and did better. I don't really remember anything that Salt Poppy did, but I remember that Anthony Taylor was kind of just dominating every single round. Salt Poppy has been fighting this well without being able to see, really, because he wears glasses and stuff like that, so his vision has been blurry. He plans on getting the eye surgery now after this fight, so we'll see a very improved Salt Poppy, a very interesting one to say the least, one that can see a lot better, and I don't know, we'll just see how that goes. That could be really well for him. Next is Deji versus Swarms. There's a bit that happened in this one that I want to talk about. People act like Deji is super good, and to be honest, I think Deji is just bad. I don't think Deji has done anything impressive. He's only won like 2 fights, including this one, which kind of just exposed what happened. But let me explain. Basically, Deji versus Swarms. Deji isn't really that impressive. He just did a lot more. And Swarms came in. He had a very nice physique. His physique was way better than him versus KSI. If you don't know, Swarms and KSI fought before, but this was like Swarms had like only a little bit of a notice and had to lose a bunch of weight and stuff. He looked a lot better. He looked like he was going to do really well, and for what he did well. But he did not do much at all, and I really wish he did more. All of the shots he did take, the counters he did, were really good. But besides him doing the little bit that he did, he mainly just sat in a corner or sat on the ropes with his hands up blocking, and that was about it. Deji really didn't do anything impressive. He just got the win because he did a little bit more, or he did more. If really Swarms used his, like, what he was doing there a lot more, because Swarms had a really big reach advantage. If he kind of used that to his ability, which he did in some parts, he would have won. He would have knocked him out, or he would have just won in general. But sadly, he didn't. He's got very good potential for this boxing stuff. I really do believe that. But Deji just is awful. The only time he's done well is in this promotion. You can't forget about all the awful times or all the awful fights that he has done. Like, it's just not good at all. People act like he's so good, and he's just really not. I don't see what people see in him. I feel like you put Deji against any challenging fighter like Salt Poppy, then he's done for. And speaking of, I think that that's one fight that's going to have to happen before KSI versus Salt Poppy happens, because as there was no talk at all during this event of Salt Poppy versus KSI, but on the internet that is a very big conversation that people have been wanting to talk about, is will KSI go against Salt Poppy? And people really want to see that fight. They want to see that more than Joe Fournier. And I think that now that Salt Poppy is getting his eye surgery, that is a lot more doable. After the surgery, of course, that is going to be a lot more possible. And to be honest, if KSI still does not want to fight Salt Poppy yet, then Salt Poppy will have to fight Deji. I don't know what the weights are between them two. I don't really look at this YouTube boxing stuff that closely. I don't look at Salt Poppy's weight and Deji's weight. But, like, if they're close or if they can fight, then they need to, so Salt Poppy can destroy Deji and then go to KSI, because people want to see that. People do not want to see a rematch of Joe Fournier, which some people have presumed, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But after this fight, basically, Swarms gets called out by Pineda, or Pineda, I don't know, however you say his name. Basically, it was the same guy that fought KSI the same night that Swarms fought KSI. Very awful fighter from what I've seen. He got a knockout, on his last fight. That was like a tag team match. And besides that, I never even watched the fight. I just know that he got a knockout. But still, I'm not impressed by him. I'm not happy to see him around at all. I think he's very overhyped. Is he good? Can he prove me wrong? Possibly. That'll be nice to see if he does. I hope he proves me wrong if Pineda is good. But to be honest, if Swarms versus Pineda, I'm going for Swarms. I think that Swarms just can do a lot better. Supposedly, Pineda is a professional fighter, but that KSI versus Pineda fight was trash, and that was a sad excuse of a main card. But to go on, Swarms tries to call out Pineda while at the match, or no, Pineda tries to call out Swarms at the match, and basically, what happens is that it's kind of like an Undertaker thing. The lights turn off, the Undertaker sound effect plays, and then he pops out in the middle of the ring with this mariachi band of sorts, and calls out Swarms. Swarms was getting an interview right before this happened at the end of the walk-in. And I don't know where he went. I don't know if he disappeared or what. But out of nowhere, Swarms is gone. And so I don't really know what's happening with that. Is Swarms going to fight Pineda? I don't know. And do I really want to see that? I don't really know. I don't really know who Swarms needs to go against next. Let me know in the comments down below who you think Swarms needs to go against next. Maybe a rematch. I think Swarms is he's not had much training. I don't remember whenever KSI fought Swarms or the last time Swarms fought. So, I mean, just with some more practice and stuff, he's definitely going to be better than Deji and some other people. Now to go on to the main event. KSI versus Joe Fournier. So basically, to describe the rounds, the first round, KSI is very confident, he's very jumpy and stuff, and he kind of just dominates the round as he just does more. Really, Joe Fournier doesn't do a lot. I think Joe was just trying to kind of warm up and such, trying to just figure out what's going on there, and then in the second round do a bit more, which he did do a bit more. But what ends up happening is that KSI hits a good overhand in the second round, causing Joe to start wobbling a little bit. KSI tries to go for a right hook, and then during that right hook, Joe is also trying to clinch. The glove might have scraped Joe's nose, but at the wrist part. In that right hook, KSI elbows Joe Fournier, and basically it's over. He's flat on the ground. I don't know if he got knocked out or not. Joe says that he felt the elbow, and he thought that KSI was going to get disqualified. To be honest, if the ref did see that, KSI would have been disqualified immediately. KSI tries to say that, hey, no, I didn't elbow him, I right hooked him. Maybe he didn't feel the elbow, but I would be very surprised if he did not feel that elbow, because that was square. People are saying it's the forearm. It was close enough. It's very obvious that was an elbow. Now, whether KSI meant to do it or not, I'm pretty sure KSI didn't mean to elbow the guy. But, you can't claim after seeing the footage that, oh, yeah, I still won. KSI talks on Twitter after the fight saying, outboxed and outclassed in every department. On to the next. Tommy Fury, let's do this. Shout out to my whole team and appreciate everyone who came out and bought the pay-per-view to watch an entertaining Misfits event, then shouting out some song of his. Then a bit later, I think it may be the next day, he says, I worked very hard for this fight and had an intense and grueling camp. There's no better feeling than being in that ring and having my hand raised in front of a loyal and amazing fans who I appreciate so much. Unfortunately, the victory, which was inevitable no matter what, is tarnished, and I hate that. It sucks. After landing my overhand, he was pretty much out of it on his feet. I went in for a short right hook as Joe clinched me and fell into me. I landed that hook, and my glove, which he kind of didn't land it, and my glove made contact, but appears to have been followed by unintentional contact with my forearm. I'm gutted that it's not as clean of a win as I wanted, and it feels like it diminishes my hard work with my trainers. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate the support. Sorry to all the fans disappointed with it. No one is more so than me. Joe Fournier does say that he's planning on getting the win looked over, as that's clearly not a win. That is at least a no contest, if not disqualification. I think Joe Fournier is trying to go for the disqualification, and I think that's okay. To be honest, I don't really know I'm more of an MMA person, so I don't really know the line of disqualification to no contest. This elbow would go towards disqualification more than anything, because the times that I've seen a no contest is because it was found out that they were using drugs, or you were using an inhaler in the middle of the fight if you're Greg Hardy. But I do think that he will definitely get a no contest or a disqualification. I don't think KSI should have even said anything about it being a win, because even though that, would KSI win this fight in the end? Most likely. It's a good possibility, but in the world of boxing and MMA, there can always be an upset. There can always be something that happens. So, to declare to win after elbowing him, that's a bit much. I'm pretty sure that will get turned over. It'll be a disqualification. I'm pretty sure that will cause KSI to have a loss, and if it doesn't get disqualification and just counts as a no contest, then it will be not really a loss or win. It will just be a no contest. It's not really a loss or win. It'll basically be a loss for KSI. It won't be a win. And that will still mean that Joe is undefeated. To go on with after the fight and stuff that happened after it, KSI called out Tommy Fury. I don't really want to see KSI versus Tommy Fury. Jake Paul already fought Tommy Fury, and this would be the equivalent of having the leftovers or having the sloppy seconds. It's not something I want to see. Tommy Fury was there. He was at the sidelines. They did a little bit of a face-off, then they get split. Tommy Fury got into a fight at the ringside with someone, I don't really know who. And I don't really know if it was just him. It looked like it was a bunch of people fighting. But yeah, I don't really want to see KSI versus Tommy Fury. Everyone has wanted to see KSI versus Jake Paul. And some people are talking about a rematch with Joe. No one wants to see that. At least not many people. And that would do so poorly sales-wise. It's just not worth it. KSI did say that he would be the backup for Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, because if you don't know, Jake Paul and Nate Diaz plan to box. But Texas is saying that they're not going to let him fight, possibly, due to the possible use of the ganja, you know what I mean, the devil's lettuce. And this has happened before with the Diaz brothers. I don't know if it was Nick or Nate, but one of them won a fight, and then they got a no contest at the end of it due to the use of the substance, the gas, the Zaza. Also, during one of the interviews that KSI had after the fight, the person that was interviewing him got sent a text by Jake Paul's manager saying all of the agreements that they would have to do, like the rehydration clause and a bunch of other stuff. And basically, KSI agreed to everything, but just not the date. If Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz actually happens, and KSI doesn't have to step in for that, and then he tries to go on to fight Tommy Fury, they're both going to have a bit of distance in between those fights. Now, we don't really know when this Tommy Fury versus KSI would happen if he doesn't have to step in, but my assumption would be probably in the next 3 or 4 months. You also have to think that they have to agree on stuff. Tommy Fury has had to deal with some stuff before where he couldn't even get to certain places, so we'll just have to see. To be honest, I don't think really many people want to see a KSI versus Tommy Fury. People really are just more so waiting like, okay, it's time to fight Jake Paul. The thing is that KSI even admits that Jake Paul is kind of the better boxer in ways. Back whenever KSI wasn't fighting because of the plague and all that, he basically said that, hey, he's kind of better than me at the moment. He has fought more people since I've been kind of out of it and stuff, and he declared him as the better one. He also says during something, I think it was whenever he was calling out Tommy Fury, he said that kind of just admitted that KSI was kind of the better one as well. And from the past performances that we have seen and the past fighters, KSI hasn't really proved much. You couldn't knock out or really defeat a person that was whining the whole time during the event, and you also couldn't knock out a boxer with only a little bit of training. Then you also have the Face Temper fight, which you knocked out Face Temper, but Face Temper isn't really impressive. And then you knock out Joe Fournier with a illegal elbow. It's just none of the stuff that he has done is really impressive. Can he fight? Without a doubt, he can probably fight. But is he going to be better than Jake Paul? Most likely not. I think Jake Paul wins this no matter what. Because if Jake Paul can go 3 rounds, or however many it was, and go to decision with Tommy Fury and not get knocked down or anything, there's a good possibility there. I just think that KSI hasn't really fought anyone too impressive. If KSI wants to fight another person, it should be Salt Poppy. I know that Tommy Fury is a good fighter and all that, but why fight someone that's already been fought in that same space? We need an opponent for KSI that's going to break KSI's ego and mentality. And I think Jake Paul, if he thinks this stuff properly, because I don't really think of Jake Paul as a zinger or someone that really talks well, besides maybe a little bit through Twitter, because he's gotten under KSI's skin through Twitter and such. But besides that, we need someone that will get under his skin and break his ego. Because I think that if you take down KSI's mentality, then you will win 50% of that fight. You've already won half the battle. As you can see in that fight with Joe, KSI is very confident, he's jumping around, he's very energetic. So he's already winning a mental battle, and if you can get someone to break that mentality, he will be slower, he won't be as energetic, he won't be as confident, he will mess up a bit, you know what I mean? I know that KSI messes up a bit, he's a bit more of a wild fighter, and I think we're going to see a completely different fighting KSI whenever it comes to Tommy Fury or to Jake Paul, because KSI has his hands down, he's very energetic, he's jumping around. That's not going to cut or slide with Tommy Fury or Jake Paul, I think. 100%. And I think that he's going to take it slower. He's going to be smarter and stuff. At least, you better hope, because if you're rooting for him and he's doing all that, he's going to get knocked out. Or he's going to lose. But yeah, like I said before, I don't know who that person would be besides Jake Paul to truly break his ego and mentality. And I really want to see someone get under KSI's skin like that. Not just like, make him mad a little bit by a face-off or a push or something, but truly upset him. Jake Paul really knows a bit about KSI and stuff. Joe might not know a lot, but KSI and Jake Paul have been around on YouTube for a while, and they know each other's beefs and stuff and their past controversies. So, if Jake Paul can use some of that against KSI and break him mentally during some of these press conferences, because, if you say something at a press conference like that, he's got to think of a response, and he will be embarrassed. But, like I said, we just need something like that to happen. The only fighter I can really see doing that is Jake Paul. I only see Jake Paul really breaking down that. And to be honest, I don't even like Jake Paul. I don't like the Paul brothers, but boxing-wise, if I had to go for one, I'm definitely going for Jake Paul. As KSI is a little bit sloppy, he's a little bit over... And the thing is that KSI also lies to himself a lot. I think that's how KSI is so confident, because I think truly deep down, KSI isn't confident in a lot of situations, and he knows the reality of stuff. But he lies to himself so much that he actually believes the stuff that he's telling himself. Before I end this video, I'm going to go over some stuff real quick. I'm going to go back over Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. What actually happened with that whole thing and what's happening with it now is that I think KSI and Jake Paul were going back and forth on Twitter again, and Nate Diaz saw that, and he was just like, I'll back out of the fight just so y'all can fight each other, because... they have gone back and forth for a while, and I mean, if there's an open spot right there, and they were talking about literally KSI being the second, not the second, but being the actual backup for Nate Diaz, he was just like, y'all can fight if y'all want to, and I think he has a bit of the upper hand right now. Another thing I want to talk about is the ref cam. If you don't know, during the fight, they had a ref cam, which was basically just like a camera on the ref's head, and it was like a point of view. And I really like that. I thought that was something super good, super different, and I really do want to see that in more events. Also, I'd love to see that in MMA. I'd love to see UFC pick that up. I don't think they would, but that is super cool. And also, in MMA, it'd be very interesting because you'd see the ref's point of view in stuff like the grappling on the ground and stuff. That'd be very interesting to see. And possibly even see the point of view of the knockouts and stuff, get a good replay on those. There's so much potential with those, and they needed to use those more than what they did here, because they really screwed over that whole thing. They had a panel that they would switch to where it was the ref cam in the corner of the screen. I think that's really good. I think they should keep that up for longer. I think they should keep with the ref cam more longer. It makes fights really interesting. Also, let me know who you think is a good fight for Wings or Boogie. Do you want to see a rematch of that? And I really do think this as well. If we're going to do one more fight card, because basically Jake Paul versus KSI is kind of probably going to be the end of it all. They're probably not going to fight anyone else. They know it's going to be the biggest fight, and they know that's going to be the end of YouTube boxing. Who is going to be, how should we stack the card? What do you think should be this card stacked? Should we get the Boogie rematch? Who would be a good fighter against Boogie and Wings? Just let me know all that in the comments down below, because I'm very interested. I thought of Airsoft Fatty, but at the same time, I don't really know about him. I don't really know what he weighs, and also, he's probably a bit shorter. He might be taller, I don't know, but he also might be a bit shorter than those guys. So, I mean, if there's a huge height difference, there's not much of a reason to really do it. If there's anything else here, yeah, just let me know what y'all thought about the video. I know that I was more talking and rambling and stuff, but I really did want to get all my thoughts and opinions across. And let me know what y'all thought about videos like this. Do y'all want to see more of these? Just make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe. The next episode of the series should be soon. It'll be after this video. Unless something big happens on the internet, the next episode of the series will be the next video out. And that should be maybe the end of this week, the beginning of next. Maybe Sunday, Monday, maybe even sooner than that. We will just have to see. But with all that said, thank you for watching. Let me know what y'all thought about this video. Make sure to like and subscribe and all that stuff. And in the end, I'm PERK30. this event was still better than anything iDubbbz could have ever done. I was not leaving that out of the video, and I was leaving that at the end. This was better than that whole card as a whole, that whole Creator Clash card.
In conclusion, is the perfect example of what Zero Pussy does to a motherfucker.